Hi, I'm Howard Tipton, Town Manager of Longboat Key, and this is Tip Talks. Today we are glad to welcome Wade Brennan, who is the Director of Mosquito Control for Sarasota County. And if you don't know much about mosquito control, you're going to learn, because it is actually one of the more fascinating things that a government agency can do around public health. But it also makes it one of the key reasons we can live here year-round. So Wade, welcome. Glad to have you. Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and so one of the things that people don't remember, because you do such a good job, is that the mosquito used to be the state bird of Florida at one time.
Yeah, that's true. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
And so talk about, you know, the approach that you play to the general mosquito control, and then we'll talk about the topic that's on everybody's mind right now, which is the few malaria cases that we've had here in Sarasota County. So if you just give us a sense of what integrated pest management looks like from your viewpoint.
Well, it's really about being scientific and scientific driven. You know, everything we do is going to be for science. We're going to be looking at mosquito populations. That determines how we do things, when we do things, and how far are we going to do things. So everything comes down to mosquito species. You know, there's different species that we have. We have about 34 species in the county of Sarasota, over 100 species in the state of Florida. Every one of those species has a specific niche. They have different habits that they like. They have different flight ranges. Certain mosquitoes don't even like to feed on humans. They'll only feed on amphibians, birds, horses. There's all kinds of different things that mosquitoes will do. Also, some of them won't even transmit viruses. So we're not going to worry about those as much as those vectors of diseases, because that's one of our core ingredients, is protecting the public from all those kinds of mosquito arboviruses that are out there worldwide. And that's something that has become very evident recently with the malaria situation that we're at. You know, this is one of those situations that comes about. This is why we're here, but it's not totally new. You know, we face dengue, we face West Nile. This is just a different battle that we're battling right now and taking care of business. But it's about that integrated pest management system. It's a lot of different facets that we're going to throw at the mosquito population, and that's to assure that we're going to have a good success for a long period of time. If you only focus on adulticides and adulticides only, you can build up resistance quickly, and then you're no longer effective in a matter of years. So we're going to be killing the larvae before they even have a chance to bite anybody. We're going to be trying to do source reduction. We're going to actually monitor resistance to the pesticides that we're doing, which is very important, because it's something that can occur and it's an actual threat. The more you look for something, the more you can find it. So it's about, if we do see any of that resistance, we're going to change the pesticides that we use. And then we also have a lot of larviciding going on, where that's bacteria and growth hormone regulators, very specific to only hurting or harming mosquitoes, which is another key component of our integrated pest management program.
So one of the things, and we'll talk about the malaria that's been reported here recently, but one of the things that you need to understand is Sarasota has one of the most sophisticated operations in the state of Florida. And so if you were going to have something serious like a malaria case being reported, you would be in the best possible location for that to happen, based on their knowledge, based on the equipment, based on the staff that they have. So we're fortunate in that regard. And so I just want to talk for a second about that particular subject. So we've had reports of several cases now, I think maybe 4 altogether.
4, and then we just had another 2 released this week. So we're up to 6 human cases at this point. 6
human cases. So talk a little bit about what your thought is about how that might have occurred, and then what we need to be aware of in terms of our safety.
So when it comes to malaria, malaria is very similar to dengue or chikungunya or Zika, where it's a mosquito to human back to a mosquito cycle. It's a natural cycle that's constant like that. So we are the reservoirs, and we are also the hosts of the parasite. But with malaria, it's a parasite that gets in your blood, and then the mosquito can pick it up. And then certain species, and it's only the Anopheles species that actually can transmit. So right now, since we're battling malaria, we're focused on malaria. Again, that we're going back to that species. So we're looking for only habitats where we're going to see those Anopheles. That's old water, permanent water that has a lot of old vegetation along the sides. or choked up with water lettuce, cattails, water hyacinth, all those kinds of permanent bodies of water, not salt water like the beautiful salt water we have behind us. But we're talking about fresh water that has a lot of growth and vegetation that's going to cause and breed those Anopheles species. So how does it get here? It's going to be a human, because we have humans traveling throughout the world all the time. This is a constant threat. That's how dengue gets here. That's how West Nile gets here. West Nile is a little bit different. That's more avian, our bird population, but chikungunya is human related. So it's all that world travel that people do. So one of the biggest things is when you are traveling around the world, take the appropriate prophylactics, take the vaccines that are recommended by the CDC, and if you do come back, you're sick at all, see the doctor as quickly as possible.
Great points. And we do have a very well-traveled population here in Sarasota County, especially on Longboat Key. And so that's great advice, because sometimes we're out and about. We think about the recent pandemic that we all went through. You know, a lot of that is the same thing, right? It just kind of travels with us. So as we are the reservoirs of it. So that's a great point. So from a health perspective, if we are out, and these cases are not on Longboat, and we don't really have that kind of environment necessarily for these cases to occur here, but if I'm out on the mainland, are there any special protections that I need to take?
Yes, we need, and that's where we need everybody to step up to the plate and battle this with us. We need everybody to wear long sleeve shirts. I know it's hot, but if you're going to be out at night, you need to protect yourself, because by protecting yourself, if you think about it, you're actually protecting your family, your friends, your loved ones, because you're going to be visiting, you're going to be coming back from wherever, and you potentially could be exposing something to them. So wear long sleeve, loose fitting pants and shirts. Wear the repellent. That's definitely recommended by the CDC. We have a lot of different information at the scgov.net /mosquito website. If you're looking for those actual repellents that are very effective. Or you can go to the CDC website and get those repellents as well. Other things you can do is just make sure you don't have standing water, because, you know, yes, we're dealing with malaria now, but later on in the summer it could easily be dengue, it could be West Nile. So it's important to stay vigilant on all these things around your house. So no standing water around the house. If you're going to have buckets or something like that, make sure they're screened, screen on top, no holes whatsoever, and use the water as quickly as possible, and then keep your family safe. That's the thing. And then the other thing is, so right now we're battling malaria. Avoid any kind of activities at night if you can, from sunset all the way to sunrise. This is a little bit of a different species that will feed seek blood meals all night long. So it's important to avoid that whole window, not just dusk and dawn. We want that whole spectrum. And then the other thing is, if you feel sick, go to the doctor. You know, if you're getting high fatigue, dizziness, also fever, especially if the fever breaks and comes back. That's one of the big symptoms of malaria at this point. So seek that medical attention, because malaria is treatable. And as soon as you get that treatment, after it's a very few days, within a week, your body is no longer producing those parasites that can possibly affect another mosquito.
Great. So give me that website again,
scgov.net /mosquito.
Okay, we'll put that right down here at the bottom as you're saying that, so people can go there. So we talked a little bit about, you know, it's an integrated pest management control system. It's one of the best in the country that we have here in Sarasota. And Wade mentioned that we all have a part to play in this. And so we talked a little bit about some of the things that you can do around your house to make sure that we're not creating a habitat. And so what I've learned through personal experience is, make sure if you have gutters on your house, make sure that they're clean. Because if we've got the summer rains that we typically do, and you've got a bunch of leaves in there and that's blocking up the water from flowing, that can be a great place for mosquitoes. It's not something that you're looking down and seeing. You actually sometimes have to look up, make sure that you're capturing all the different places where water might gather.
And it only takes 5 days. So if you have bromeliads, you have buckets, you have any source of water, within 5 days, a mosquito can go from egg all the way to adult to start biting somebody.
That's right. So Wade mentioned plants, and so let's just talk about some of the plants that you'd like to not see in people's yards?
Yeah, so one of our big producers of different mosquitoes, and they also produce mosquitoes that harbor or vector diseases such as dengue and Zika, is bromeliads. They, everybody loves them in Florida. They're so drought resistant, but there's a lot of other plants out there that are beautiful, drought resistant, that won't be producing mosquitoes. The pineapple. Sarasota is known for their pineapples. Pineapples look like bromeliads, but will not hold the water. That's the thing, is those bromeliads, they have the bracts that form this perfect cup that holds the water that produces these mosquitoes, and then they spread out a lot further. Other things to avoid is water lettuce, water hyacinth. Those are extremely invasive plants that produce very aggressive mosquitoes. And then cattails, they also produce major problems as well. Yes, they might filter a little bit of water, but they're going to cause us a lot more problems in the end.
Perfect. I appreciate that. There are some plants that aren't necessarily foolproof in terms of repelling insects, especially mosquitoes, but they give off a scent that they don't like, and that can include mint. It's actually a very good plant for a lot of different things. Catnip is another one, lavender. There's a bunch of different plants out there, citronella, that can be at least a hedge against what you might find in your yard. So that's also something for you to look up out there. Well, Wade, listen, we appreciate your time. I know how busy you are this time of the year. As we go about our daily life, it's kind of like people who we walk in a room and we flip on a switch and the light comes on, or we turn on the tap and the water comes on. Your efforts to keep our community safe are typically unrecognized, and if you're doing a really good job, we really don't think about you, right?
Yeah, we'd love to hear that, though. That's good.
But we want to say thank you so much for you and your team, and for, you're out there at night, you're out there early in the morning, you're going into harm's way to make sure that we're safe, and we do appreciate that. So thank you.
And thank you, too, for letting us get the word out about mosquito management. If anybody has, mosquito problems, let them know to call us at 311. We'll submit a service request, get out, check out the problem, and take care of the situation.
Thank you. That's great advice. They don't know what's going on unless you're telling them.
Yep.
And so they need to hear from you. So that's that 311 number. So that's it for today. That's what we're going to talk about as we go forward through the summer, is how do we make sure that we stay safe, that we are doing the things that we can do to make sure that our surroundings are not helping to breed these mosquitoes. And so for that, again, Wade, thank you very much. Until next time, be well and take care.